Remember to think critically when you're watching this, as you should with anything else you're watching. There is a massive overreach going on. I can't really attest to exactly what's going on through all of the government. We can imagine based on what is in what has been ordered by Trump. But I can give an insight in how everything is working at the Social Security Administration itself in regards to this. I do have some inside information there. And so I do want to give you a look at that because fascism is coming down fast. This is not like Trump's first term. This is excessive, wild, very rapid change. I mean, things seemed rapid in Trump's first term. This is going really fast, and I think that it's really going to bite him in the ass in the end, because yeah, people do not adjust when you move this fast, which may be a saving grace here. But let's select the proper window to show this. And we are going to start out. Here is a copy of a message that was sent out yesterday to everybody at that works for the Social Security Administration. We're looking at guidance regarding the DEIA executive orders. And I just want you to focus a little bit on the tone, on what's actually said that does not need to be said for this to go through. It would be we're following the executive order, and so we'll keep you posted on what's going to be happening or something like that. What we got is we are taking steps to close all agency DEIA offices and end all DEIA related contracts in accordance with President Trump's executive orders titled Ending Radical and Wasteful Government DEI Programs and Preferencing and Initial Rescissions of Harmful Executive Orders and Actions. These programs divided Americans by race, wasted taxpayer dollars, and resulted in shameful discrimination. Right here, mind you, Trump hasn't gotten anybody in office yet. This is simply what we have by somebody who is acting commissioner, or probably I think it actually came from OPM, that they told everyone to send this particular message. But this isn't even a Trump appointee yet. And there's no need to be taking such a political stance. It's not we're going to follow through. This is political advocacy in this case. We are aware of efforts by some in government to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language. If you are aware of a change in any contract description or personnel position description since November 5th, 2024, that's the date of the election, to obscure the connection between the contract and DEIA or similar ideologies. Amazing phrase there. Please report all facts and circumstances to DEIA Truth at opm.gov within 10 days. So keep in mind, you all can email that same address with whatever nonsense. It may not do much, but it's at least a start. There will be no adverse consequences for timely reporting this information. However, failure to report this information within 10 days may result in adverse consequences. An open threat to employees who the vast majority have nothing to do with anything like such contracts. These are people who are taking claims, who are helping people change their address, change who is in charge of their check if they're incapable, as many people do when they become very severely disabled or elderly. People with dementia, for example, have usually a family member, often a guardian, handling things. People who are helping attorneys with resolving issues with the claims. These are the people who are mainly getting this message, and they're getting open threat. And let's try to jump back. And we are going to switch instead to the actual executive order. And I'm not going to read through everything. Let me point out some key things. Tries to say, present by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, even though this violates many laws. First, we get a screed about how it's how horrible it is. He thinks that the Biden administration forced illegal and immoral discrimination programs, which we're going to go over what DEIA is briefly, and all that. And basically, it's termination of all programs, including DEI and DEIA. It's very notable that he added in DEIA in this case. Shall not consider DEI or DIA factors, goals, policies, mandates, or requirements. You're going to be terminating all these things. Also, you can remove not only those positions, but environmental justice positions. Federal contractors who have provided any of that training, even if that's not their primary job. Let's say this contractor just happened to do that at the agency's request once or twice. He's going to have them being punished for doing what they were asked to do. They're going to assess the operational impact, include the number of new DEI hires, which is not a thing. Basically, they're saying anything with affirmative action involved. And what's also funny there is often affirmative action works a little bit different in the government because it is an employer that doesn't traditionally discriminate based on issues like race, sex, things like that. That people who are not of oppressed categories, like white people, get preferred treatment. So a lot of them are being ordered to be fired if you have a new white men being fired. Of course, Trump has no idea that that's what that means. He's just putting it in. Inform the president, blah, blah, blah. Here reports. And then you have the, discuss barriers to measures to comply with this order, such as legal barriers, of course. And then you have the basic thing where it says that this doesn't actually grant any rights or blah, 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 that they started putting in. I'm not even sure exactly when, but definitely not in the 1960s. And we're going to move on to, let's look at what diversity, equity, inclusion is. OPM. Oh, page not found all of a sudden, that quickly. Removing documents. Probably not properly backed up. Department of Energy. Access denied. Now, that's an amazing thing. We are just basically hiding anything about there on government websites. And I knew that already. So let's move on to where we actually do get something from BSR. And I'm not even sure exactly what BSR is, but this is basic corporate stuff about what DIA is. D is for diversity. The ways that people differ, which may be race, ethnicity, gender, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, language, and socioeconomic class. Equity has to do with treating people so that they're able to come to the same basic outcomes that they put in the effort. It is going to be a bit misleading. I really wish they did not describe it the way that they did. But this could be something like giving proper equipment to blind employees so that they can read screens and whatnot. It is an expense to the employer, as required by the Americans with Disability Act, mind you. But it's making it so that they too can succeed at the job despite not having eyesight. You're looking at measures like that. Inclusion is creating environments which individuals and groups can feel welcomed, respected, supported, and valued, regardless of identity and background. It is a culture of belonging where every person's voice can add value, blah, 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 blah. Corporate talk. But basically, it's you're not you're allowing everybody out. You're allowing people the freedom to be their own person without having to worry about conformity. You're allowing people of different races, different religions, um, all to work together and without people being treated wrongly. Now, for example, and let's say that you are of a Christian religion, not necessarily a mainstream one. You have a particular, it may even be a mainstream one, but maybe it's not the one that your boss wants. The inclusion part, is about telling them, no, you can't make that person feel unwelcome. You can't, discriminate against them because they have a different brand of Christianity than you. That works for other religions too, but I do want to stress it also works with that your mainstream Christianity, that different sects can be discriminated against. Think of the Mormons, for example. You have a lot of Christians that hate Mormons. And it says, no, you're not going to discriminate against people because they're Mormon. You have a lot of people who hate Catholics. It's saying, no, we're not going to allow you to discriminate because Catholics. And finally, accessibility. Accessibility is defined as the design, construction, development, and maintenance of facilities, technology programs, and services so all people, including people with disabilities, can fully and independently use them. We are talking about things like making sure you have wheelchair ramps, that you have safe means of exit for people who are in wheelchairs or maybe have other mobility issues, that you have uh, ways that people can easily see their way through smoke, that you can, it's basic things that are, once again, required by the Americans with Disability Act. Um, and so this is what Donald Trump is trying to get removed. It's what he's ordered, and if you notice, um, the the language used in there is and any similar ideologies, any positions that involve a lot of legally required positions. You're talking about EEO, the equal employment opportunity, that handles issues when people are, being discriminated against, in that case. And mind you, removing it means that if you happen to have let's say you have a Muslim manager and they don't like somebody who's Christian or Jewish because of the religious belief, now they can discriminate against them just fine, because who's going to do anything about it? No one. Um, you're looking at your basic requirements for following the Employees with Disabilities Act. I understand that the Social Security Administration, in particular, has had training long before Biden, back when Trump's first term was going on, about how to deal with people with different disabilities, members of the public, so that you don't make them feel less than. Things like, um, if you're speaking to somebody who's deaf, you speak to them, not the translator. If someone's blind, you don't act like they're deaf. There's was special training about dealing with the deaf community in particular. That had nothing to do with anything that President Biden did, but that's all stuff that is considered a big no-no now all of a sudden. and that he says separate people. Remember the inclusion part? It's about bringing people together, make sure everyone um, can be there equally without having to worry about being treated and otherized by other employees, by management. That's gone as far as Trump has anything to say about it. And it is in violation of the law. He is telling federal employees to disregard acts of Congress because he doesn't like them. Or rather, the people who wrote that for him don't like it. Because this is Project 2025. I saw Robert Reich wrote that 16 out of the 26 are word for word out of Project 2025. Trump swore up and down he knew nothing about it, had nothing to do with him, but it's coming in word for word. Not even he had a similar idea or he kind of liked it. This is him taking it word for word straight from them. He lied. Well, I mean, we shouldn't be that surprised he lied, but yeah, if you voted for Trump and you thought, oh, he's not going to do anything with Project 2025, you were wrong. This is it, right out day one. Another one that we have that is worth noting, because this is also a lot of violation of law right now. Let's go back here. I gotta switch over to the other one. And hopefully, I don't know if that's showing the right thing. Yeah, that's not showing the right one. Let's switch it. Here we go. And here's another one that came out today. A message to all SSA employees. We are notifying you we are fully complying with the presidential memorandum. Return to in-person work and guidance from the Office of Personnel Management, which require eligible employees work full-time at their respective duty stations unless excused due to a disability, qualifying medical condition, or other compelling reason certified by the agency head and the employee supervisor. We will share additional details about this implementation tomorrow. Your managers don't have additional information at this time, so hold questions, blah, blah, blah. Now, so obviously, I also don't have any further information on what they are planning in particular, but it is of note what we are looking at here. Because this is basically, they're telling you they're going to be doing something very, very unlawful because we have a problem, and we've had this problem for decades. When we look at the people we put in charge of these agencies, what we valued for the past 50 years is this corporate mentality. And it very much is do as you are told, you're going to follow the leader, end of story. You do not have people who are put in these positions where they're high up, at least, where they generally have the integrity to actually uphold their oath of office, that they're following the Constitution, that they're going to uphold the law. That's missing. And so we have people who are prime and they're just going to do as they were told. You might remember that from the Nuremberg trials. We were just doing as we were told as the excuse. That is the type of people who have been ruling over federal agencies, not just under Republicans, but under Democrats as well for the past few decades. Long gone are you people that were like two of Nixon's attorney generals refused to carry out orders that they thought were unlawful and that they had obligations not to follow through. It took was it Robert Bork? You have to ask Robert Reich. He told the story, but he's the one who ended up just doing it, despite it being unlawful. We're going to move on, and please, you know what? I want to go. Yeah, good. It's showing return to in-person work. It's a very short one. Heads of all departments and agencies of the executive branch of government shall, as soon as practicable, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements and require employees to return to work in person at their respective duty stations on a full-time basis, provided that the department and agency heads shall make exemptions they deem necessary. And doesn't involve the normal disclaimers, but this is maybe because it's listed under presidential action. But that is important. And notice that the term used is remote work. Why does that matter? Let's look at OPM on sign they haven't removed yet. And I guarantee you that if they catch wind of this, they will remove this page. Is there a difference between remote work and telework? Yes. For purposes of OPM's guidance, telework refers to arrangements where the employee is expected to report to work at both an agency worksite and alternative worksite on a regular and recurring basis each pay period. Remote work does not involve an expectation that the employee regularly reports to the agency worksite each pay period. So there's a difference. Remote work is what was supposed to be called off, not telework. And that's what most people at SSA actually have. And what they're saying, they're going to excuse remote work if you have a situation where you have to be 5 days a week off and working from home or somewhere else. They're going to allow that still because of probably not wanting to directly violate the Americans with Disabilities Act and stuff like that. But they still may do things for that. Time will tell. But when we are looking at telework was not said in the executive or the presidential action that people are going to stop teleworking. And that's what most SSA employees have. They work 3 days in the office and 2 days from home. And it's been shown through study that it actually increased their productivity. They do more, they're more efficient when they do it this way. They're able to get things done, able to lower those backlogs and all that. And Trump is making the government less efficient out of spite. And why that's notable, we have from government executive about how SSA and the government, the employee union, AFGE, American Federation of Government Employees, reached a deal to lock in their telework agreement until 2029. This is one of those things that they should be looking at and saying, oh, there's an exception because we cannot violate a contract. We already made the contract. We are in it. We cannot, labor law does not allow us to just back out of it just because the president doesn't like it. Donald Trump doesn't care about breaking contracts. He doesn't care about breaking promises. He will do that all day, every day. He doesn't give a shit. But that is extremely important here. Field office works about 2 days of telework a week, like I said. Most officer hearing employees work 3 or 4 days a week. Okay, so this field office that I heard from. But remote workers themselves, this is the people that actually are supposed to be affected by this, make up 1.3% of the agency's workforce, a very small percentage. But there's a new contract. The government had made their word and they're going to break it. And it's very important to remember because what else is a contract? A social contract, a written social contract called the United States Constitution. What do you think if Trump doesn't care about breaking this contract? Do Do you think it cares about breaking the U.S. Constitution? Fuck no. Fuck no. And so anyways, that is why we are that was another wildly inappropriate and illegal action that's being taken at the behest of Donald Trump. Now I do want to stress, if you do want to follow me, of course you want to hit that like, hit, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you do know when I do put things out, especially since most of my stuff currently I have to move it. I need time to move everything. But is under streams rather than the actual videos. But you can also follow me on Blue Sky at veronicatash.bsky.social. I am that is the main place that you're going to be able to find me. I am going to be leaving Facebook over them going fully MAGA and saying, obviously, me, I am less than human. And people can call me mentally ill only if it's because I'm transgender. Or maybe because I'm a lesbian. Who knows? But that's the only, yeah. So thank you. I hope you thought critically. Feel free to go back, look at these things yourself. I put things together. You have to decide whether that makes sense and compare it to other things that you've been told. What actually is the truth?